Hey, welcome back to Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Tom. Today we're looking at a Fafnir Forge Viking warrior sword. This is an 8th to 10th century Viking warrior sword. We just previously did a very similar one, which is a single-edged Viking sword from Fafnir Forge. Make sure to check that out on the channel. Let's go over specs, up-close looks, and a little bit of movement. Quick comparison of these two. We have the single-edged Viking sword from Fafnir Forge with virtually the same handle. It's almost identical with that. And this one, I would say the pommel is a lot thicker. So there's some very distinct differences, but some distinct similarities. You'll see the guard is a lot thicker on this one, and then this one's more thin. And then the pommel is a little bit longer and a little bit fatter on the one that we're reviewing today, which is the Viking warrior sword. So here's the profile on the single edge, because you might like that. So there's the single edge one. And then here's the double edge 8th to 10th century Viking warrior sword. Just a side-by-side comparison so you can see that. Okay, so for the movement portion of this, let's just do a side-by-side comparison of the movement because these are so similar. So that way you don't have to like try to figure it out on your own. But this is a double edge one. Remember, this one's like 2 pounds, 13 ounces. This large cut that you see a lot in Sword and Shield, whether you're crashing it and coming over the top of the shield, it feels solid. It's definitely heavier, you know, and depending on what you're playing with this, if you're playing this into a hammer grip where this is closed, remember you have limitation on mobility on the heel of the hand. So direct thrusting, it's going to help with not having the hand be fatigued as much. But if you're going into like X cutting or like a variation of X cutting, it's going to dig into your hand. So that's where that handshake grip comes in, where some people are saying to use more of the heel of the hand and the pommel, so where you can get this around and you can go into like different types of cuts. I could see the benefit of that. So that's the double edge one for the 8th to 10th century Viking warrior. This is the single edge one from the previous review, and this one is going to have less weight on it. And then obviously the same things. You're either going to go into a hammer grip for chops and to keep the hand from fatiguing on thrust, or you're gonna go handshake grip where you can go into different wrist cuts and things like that. It's still heavy, it's over 2 pounds, but if you're pairing this with a shield, you're not gonna be going into like crazy manipulations with this anyway. These aren't designed for that. So very direct on the thrust, very direct on the cut, whether that's with a hammer grip or with that handshake grip. Edge. I personally like the single edge better, and here's why. If you want something that's heavier, this is a few ounces heavier than the single edge one, and you like that, especially with the braided piece on the scabbard, go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I can't say that every single sword that I review is like my absolute favorite, because that's not realistic. When it comes to this checks more boxes for me. I like single edge blades better. This one's a little bit lighter. I like that this one has, for the scabbard, it has a chap, which is going to help with protecting the guard and protecting getting debris and rain and stuff like that if you're wearing this at a Ren fair. I find this one just to be more functional. It's a little bit lighter, and they're roughly around the same price, like somewhere in the $200, $250 range from what I believe I saw in there. Same capabilities for either the full hammer grip that we talked about in this review or with the handshake grip as well. But let's do something side by side. I don't have a table out here, so we're just gonna have to drop that. But even just doing this side by side, they don't look very much different. Again, the double edged one is gonna have a thicker guard and a little bit longer of a pommel. This one's gonna be a little bit thinner, but really if you looked at them like really quickly, there's not much difference. So that really comes down to personal preference. Do you want a double edge or single edge? Are you gonna cut with this? Do you care about that? So like if I was gonna get this one, the single edge, I would get a sharpening surface on it for my own martial arts training if I wanted a blade like this. So that's just a little bit of kind of back and forth on it. The only other difference with the scabbards, I might as well just show you guys since it's literally right here. So we saw the chap. This is for the single edge one with the leather chap, and just a simple flat piece of leather on each side for the sword attachment. And then this one's braided. This is for the one we're reviewing right now, the double-edged Viking warrior sword. So that one's braided. And then it's flat. There's no chap on it. So you might care about that. Overall length is 36.5 inches. Blade length 29 9/16. Weight is a little heavier than the single edge. This one's 2 pounds, 13 ounces. Comes unsharpened, but you can get it sharpened. The width of the blade is 54 millimeters. You got a peen pommel. Point of balance, which is 5 inches from the guard. Grip length 3 and 7/8 inches from the guard. And we're looking at an EN45 high carbon steel. And of course the culture is Viking. Here is the wood cord leather wrapped scabbard. And this one has a notch for a sword belt to run a sword frog through it. Except this one has braided leather around it. The other one has really just like a flat piece, 2 flat pieces on it. So we have plenty of sword belts and all that at cultofathena.com if you wanted to carry this one for Ren fairs or reenactments and stuff like that. And then finally, here's some real up-close looks of the blade in and out of the scabbard. You can get an idea of the blade profile, the pommel, and just some more up-close details. Alright, that's it for the Fafnir Forge 8th to 10th century Viking warrior sword. If you want to see more blades like this from Fafnir Forge, check out the single edge Viking sword that we just reviewed. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.